What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. Today we are going to be reviewing the brand new Double Dragon project, Big Trouble with Double Dragon, the follow-up release to their debut collaborative effort, Double Dragon. I don't think that first album really had like a significant title. I always kind of refer to it as Enter the Dragon just because of the intro. But Big Trouble with Double Dragon, this is something that's been teased for a little while now. I can't remember the first time I remember seeing Bukshot tease it. But I do remember him saying something about 2025 being the year of the dragon. Shit, that might have been 2024. I don't fully know. I just know that Bukshot usually has a lot of irons in the fire, and this is one that's been in the fire for a little bit. So going into this album, to be completely honest, this album was a struggle to get into. It kind of had two things going against it. For one, just as it typically tends to happen with some albums, this album fell victim to just timing. This album came out right around the time that Low-Key released Release 4. He had Love out. SON had the brand new Bastard Son out. And I'm still revisiting Twisted's new album. So this album really kind of had to work a little bit to get my attention. And that brings me to the other point of what it was struggling with a little bit for me. And that is the production. This album is produced, it says, I remember Bukshot saying it's produced by Seven. He also mentions Chaotic Beats. I don't know how much Chaotic Beats did. This album definitely seems to be primarily produced by Seven. And to be completely honest and in full disclosure, I'm kind of reaching a point with certain projects that Bukshot's putting out where I'm feeling a blend going on. I'm feeling a blend between Cabal, the first Double Dragon, and some of the UGA stuff, just the different projects that Bukshot's been putting out. I don't know if it's specifically what Seven is doing or if it's something that Bukshot is asking for from Seven, but it is something that I am struggling with some of the new projects that are coming out from Mob Style Music. So I can say that Oblivion, the last UGA album, had a significant standout of songs on there that really kind of perked me up. And I know a couple of those songs were produced by Seven. But that is something that I wanted to put out there and, state, because it is something that I'm struggling with when it comes to certain projects. And I think for anybody that's wondering why I haven't reviewed the new Oblivion album or why certain projects are not fully getting reviews, that's kind of part of it. Again, down to timing of albums and just a little bit on the production side of things. So jumping into this album, I think, is a solid follow-up. On my first listen, I was super duper preemptive, and I was like, oh, this blows the first one out of the water. But then the more that I've listened to it, the more that I'm like, I don't think it necessarily blew the first album out of the water, just because the first one was very, I felt, in your face. And that, to me, was kind of the point. That was the concept of that. They were introducing themselves, not really so much as a new supergroup, but kind of just as this collaborative effort. And it was an homage to Double Dragon, the game, which is straight up fucking beat you up. So that was kind of the point, I think, of that album, was to be very much in your face. And I think on my first, well, not so much my first, because my first one, I mean, obviously it's like, it's new music. So you're like, oh, I like, oh, yeah, oh, it starts itching in certain areas. But then the more that you digest it, then I felt like this album wasn't quite as in your face as that was. I mean, there's a couple of songs on here that definitely kind of felt like that. But it definitely did not match the energy that the first one kind of set forth. And again, I don't think it necessarily needed to, because that was the introductory. This one is us kind of diving a little bit deeper into what Kung Fu Vampire and Bukshot will do together. I mean, there's kind of a theme to the album, but then there are also really, I don't think there totally was. It's just kind of, that's something that Bukshot does a little bit with these projects, is he'll kind of set like a theme and put a little bit of a story to it without making it like a full-fledged concept album. And for me, and maybe I'm way off on this, but I did not feel like Big Trouble with Double Dragon necessarily had a theme. This was just kind of, a story. I think it mainly just had like a theme of continuing into the saga of Kung Fu Vampire and Bukshot together. So now, that being said, Kung Fu Vampire on this album did what Kung Fu Vampire really does for me, and that is he has a lot of, I call them kind of gymnastics with his style. He'll switch up a lot. And something he did on this album that I really liked is he really was harmonizing a lot of singing, several hooks where he was just doing singing. A really big one for me was Nemesis Me. He was kind of singing on that pre-chorus. In my world where I come from, My own nemesis. You know, I really like when Kung Fu Vampire does that. And he also switches it up quite a bit where he's not just always chopping. He's singing and rapping kind of in a normal cadence, if you will. So I'm not going to go through it. I'm not going to play you guys every single song. I am only going to give you guys my top 5. So jumping into my top 5. First up, we've got Out the Mud. Only business ain't no love day. Something tells me you gon' end up in the mud, man. Get it out the mud now. They wanna know how with the pen we blessed. Many guests, then detest. They need to learn how to envy less. They wanna harm me, try to disarm me. And this song right here really kind of surprised me. I don't know why it surprised me, but going into it, I didn't fully realize C-Mob was on this. I think I just kind of hit play on it without paying attention to the tracks. And then when C-Mob popped up, I'm like, oh, damn, that's fucking dope. C-Mob is somebody who I call like a hometown hero, if you will. C-Mob has been making music for years. In my typical fashion, I wasn't paying any attention to him. He didn't catch my eye, or rather catch my ear, until 2019, being on Tech Nine's Nina, and then also being on Kung Fu Vampire's Come Dawn. Both those times that he made a guest verse, I was like, oh, who is this guy? And I realized a couple of his songs has come up on like shuffle. You know, you finish an album and sometimes they'll play similar artists. And he had a song called Bump of the Night that would always play, and I would always just kind of, write it off as like, oh, this is just, some horrorcore rapper. And I really dismissed him for the longest time. It took Nina to really catch my attention, and then again with Come Dawn, it really caught my attention, and I realized C-Mob is actually from Indiana. He's actually not far from where I live, which is why I kind of call him like a hometown hero, because I think he absolutely fucking kills it. And his verse on Out the Mud was absolutely fucking great, I just love his cadence, and I think he fucking kills it. So if you are not familiar with C-Mob, he is somebody I would recommend going and checking out. And I know he has history with both Bukshot and Kung Fu Vampire. Obviously, he was featured on a Kung Fu Vampire album. I'm pretty positive he's been on Bukshot albums before as well as I know he went, I think it was, I don't remember the name of the tour, but there was a tour that Kung Fu Vampire went on in 2017. It was the first time I ever saw Kung Fu Vampire live. That's not true, because I saw him at the Gathering in 2016. Yeah. So when he went on that tour, C-Mob was an opener for it. And again, I didn't know who he was at the time. It was, a couple years preemptive on that. So, they've definitely rubbed elbows before. And I know that Kung Fu Vampire went on tour last year. I was not able to make it. It fell a week before Camp Zool. So I just was fully focused on that and totally missed going and seeing Kung Fu Vampire on tour. And I know C-Mob was there in attendance. So he definitely showed support. And I think that support is shown back as well. So Out the Mud is definitely a great one. Creatures is a song that I had to put in my top 5 because during Bukshot's verse, Bukshot has a certain cadence to him and a certain way that he raps. And Bukshot on this one, there's a part where he says, I got that from the homie KFV. And he literally switches his cadence up, and his rhyme pattern changes. And I'm like, oh, I would love to hear Bukshot do more of that right there. Spectacular, sing things and fools like Dracula. Learn that shit from KFV, and now it's my vernacular. When it comes to the mob, we bumping them out. Creep through the fog and we seeking them out. Bar with a bar, we bang till they fall. Bury them raw, coughing and out. Especially if he's going to do a Double Dragon album. I'd like to see him. And I don't know if it's outside his comfort zone. I'm kind of making assumptions here when I say this, but I'd like to see him definitely step out of that comfort zone a lot more when he's doing something with Kung Fu Vampire, because that's something that Kung Fu Vampire does when he raps that I like. There's like, and I call it gymnastics. That's the best way I know to say it, because just the way that he's rhyming and riding the beat is so unique. Some will be moving ya, eating soup in a 3-piece soup for ya. What we root for ya, a chupacabra hallucina. Some sicko shit with a pistol grip and a fistful of dollar. Can you suck my wrist? I don't wanna cut your chick, buck slapping's my creed. I just wanna let them bleed. You don't want to invite me. Poltergeist and it's so unsightly. Sip your blood like it's popping boba. The reanimation of Casanova. Dude, it literally just makes me think Kung Fu. Like he's just fucking flipping and whipping around and kicking the shit out of that beat. And it's very unique in the way that he does that. And I think that Bukshot channeled that a little bit on Creatures. So I definitely wanted to put Creatures in my top 5. Another one I wanted to put on here is Nemesis Me. Again, I talked about it a little bit before, Kung Fu Vampire on that hook. If I can't write a song, how can I right my wrongs? Guess it won't be long till this whole thing is gone. Trying to be an optimist, turn me to a pessimist. My journey's bottomless, I'm my own nemesis. In my world where I come from, my own nemesis, I really like the kind of slower melodic side to this track, which again, kind of surprising because one of the things that I struggled with when listening to this album is it didn't really match the energy of the first one, but also uniquely in that way, this track being different from that really helped a lot in its own way. So I really like Nemesis Me. Another one is Lurkers.
Every day I wake up with a peace of mind. I can't wait for dusk where I really shine. It's a cold world, but I'm eating up. It's the soulless, they got a bundle of lurking. Everybody lurking. A bunch of lurkers. Lurking. They wanna look inside my windows, checking out my OF, seeing who I've been with until I take my last breath.
I like the beat on this. I like the chorus on this. Again, KFV just fucking absolutely killed that hook. So I really like Lurkers a lot too. And then Never Say Die.
Way back to Saturday cartoons and Killer Clown. Boomboxes in the arcade, MTV playing all day. Everyone learned to never say die.
Bring the 80s back, G.I. Joe and Thundercats, Ninja Turtles swinging weapons harder than a lumberjack. Got my NJ glove with my diamonds on it, a jean jacket with the studs, yeah we shining homie.
When this hit, I really wasn't sure what my thoughts about it were, because it's kind of, to be completely honest, it definitely felt like I was watching like an 80s movie. You know, they kind of have, like right before the credits roll, there's like that final scene where this like kind of happy-go-lucky sounding music plays, you know. Some Jefferson Starship, no one's gonna stop us now. And if this, you know, that kind of vibe was really what I kind of felt at the beginning of Never Say Die. But then as the song went on, I'm like, oh, I love a good song about nostalgia like this. I love a good song about, you know, being young again. So Never Say Die was definitely a standout one for me. And I want to say, this is tough. Out of the top 5, what I would say is my favorite, it's going to be a toss-up, I think, between Nemesis Me and Never Say Die. Because, again, just the vibe of the two tracks, they're definitely some earworms for me as well. So they're both really great tracks, but I think I'm gonna give it to Never Say Die, because I just really like that song. I love the way that it technically closes out the album. There is obviously some deluxe versions of the album. I'm pretty sure the standard edition ends with Never Say Die. So yeah, it feels like a really great way to end the song. So I do want to give honorable mentions though to In the Void. I actually did a reaction video for In the Void, but when I did it, I forgot to screen record, so all of the audio of the song wasn't there. You just had my reaction, and I'm like, well, this isn't going to work. So what I did is I tried to just go record the song and then do my absolute damnedest to splice the two together, and it just wasn't working for me, so I ended up just scrapping it. And then I had plans and intentions to do Ruthless, but by the time I got around to doing it, the album was out, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to listen to the album. So I didn't end up doing any reaction videos, which is kind of a disservice because I did a reaction to Don't Get Beat Up off the first album. So I felt almost obligated to do a reaction for a track off of this follow-up, but that just did not end up happening. And then the other song that I want to give an honorable mention to is Gods of War featuring Straight Jacket. This, the hook on this song is an absolute earworm, and just Straight Jacket's voice is kind of living rent-free in my head every so often, because I'll throughout different points of the day, I'll have like, Gods of War. I'll have that in my head. Probably the biggest reason I'm going to say that this song didn't make it into my top 5 is during the verses, the beat is very busy.
Nobody left, nobody to call, nobody, no case. Undead, hottie, bunch of zombie, only happy to eat your face.
There's a lot going on, and it is kind of distracting in a way from the verses. And then you get into that chorus, and it kind of simplifies itself a little bit. And then, of course, you have Straight Jacket with that hook, and it's like got all that reverb to it. It just sounds like epic is the way that I would describe that song. So that is my review for the brand new Double Dragon album, Big Trouble with Double Dragon, Bukshot, and Kung Fu Vampire. If you have listened to this album, tell me down below what you guys thought about the album. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.